for today's session on the buyer consultation. Now, whenever we think of buyers, they're probably going to have a lot of questions about the buying process. Now, how often do buyers buy a home? Samantha, what do you think? Just give me a rough number.
Maybe like once every 5 years if they're making a move.
Pretty close. Usually people move every 5 to 7 years. So this is not something that they do every single day. They're going to ask a lot of questions, and we have to understand that they don't do this as often as we do. We often say, oh my God, what kind of question are they asking? They don't know. They don't know what they don't know. So we got to keep in mind that buyers are going to ask you some questions that you may think are common because this is what we do for a living. But for buyers, this is uncharted territory. This is completely new. So they're going to have a lot of questions. Remember, the quickest way to a commission check in real estate is through a buyer, but you got to have a lot of patience. And one of the common questions that they ask is, how long is the process of buying a home? And I always say, it depends on the individual. And I always tell clients, I'm going to work as fast, Maria, or as slow as you want me to. What do I mean by that? If Maria wants to get into a home, and I put her in contact with one of my lenders, but it takes Maria a month to submit her documents, pay stubs, bank statements, tax returns, how long am I going to get her in escrow? As fast as she wants. But now let's say Haiti, she's like, man, I really want to buy a house. And literally within a day or 3, she already submitted everything to our lender. Well, the lenders, see that as, man, I'm going to put Haiti as at the top of my priority list because she's serious. She's ready, willing, and able. So you are going to be a priority. And who's going to have your time as real estate agents? The buyer that's committed, submitted all the documentation, is already pre-approved, or somebody that's still kind of wishy-washy. Well, I want to look at some more properties before I commit. I'm going to put the buyer that has an approval letter at the top of my list. Those are the buyers that are going to have my weekends when it comes to showing properties. But before we get somebody pre-approved, let's say we get the lead from social media, especially because nowadays social media is very prominent. You put something on social media, whether it's a post, whether it's a video talking about the advantages of buying or etc. A lot of times they're going to send you what's called a DM, a private message, saying something to the effect of, hey Maria, I saw your post about home ownership. I'm looking to buy a house, have a lot of questions. Hopefully you can help me. Somewhere along the line, those are going to be the DMs because those are the ones I get. And I love those because there's thousands of real estate agents on social media. So the fact that Maria reached out to me, that's already a blessing. So one of the first things that I like to do is, first and foremost, let's make sure that we have our notifications on our social media. What do I mean by that? You get a DM from Maria and you respond to her a week later. How do you think Maria's going to feel? Like, man, what is it, Haiti?
Not serious.
Not serious. Like, man, maybe this guy's part-time.
Right.
That's going to be her perception. And I'm not offending anybody that's part-time or dual career. But that's going to be the perception that the client has over how I run my business. And it might have been that I just didn't see my notifications. Oops, shame on me. I need to make sure that I look at my notifications because the whole point of posting on social media is to hopefully get some people interested in the process of buying or selling a home. So if they do finally send you a message, make sure that you reply on a timely manner. Well, what is on a timely manner? Shoot, within an hour. I mean, the quicker the better. I like to respond fast. It's not always the case, but I do my best to make sure that I reply within an hour or two. For sure the same day, because again, time is of the essence. And I know for a fact that Lizzie, Maria, Haiti, Samantha, everybody watching us, you all have options. And sometimes we think, well, Maria only knows me. No, she doesn't. Maria has options. So if you don't reply to her DM, she's just going to go to her friend Haiti and reply the same thing. Hey, I reached out to a realtor about the process of buying a home. I haven't heard back. Hopefully you can help me. And she's probably going to jump on that DM and say, absolutely. Hey, first and foremost, thank you so much for reaching out. Always ask, what is the best method of contact? what number can I reach you at so that we can chat and give you a little bit more information about the process of buying a home? Super simple, very non-threatening. Hey, Haiti, I'd love to go over the process of buying a home and answer some questions. Hey, what number can we connect this afternoon if possible? 909-333-44444. Great, fantastic. Well, hey, I look forward to having a conversation with you this afternoon. And thank you so much for reaching out. Once I connect with the buyer, I'm going to go over. Good morning, Heather. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm going to go over a list of questions because the whole purpose of a buyer consultation, believe it or not, yeah, you want to pre-qualify the client, but you also want to know, are we a good fit? Do you want to work with somebody that's not a good fit? I'm sorry to say this, I don't. You don't want to work with a buyer or a client that's going to drain the bejesus out of your time, your energy, your effort, and they're still not going to buy or sell through you. They just love looking at houses on the weekend. There's people that have no intention of buying, but because we didn't ask the proper questions, we think we have a client, and we often would rather have a dead lead than guess what? No lead at all. How do I know? Because early on in my career, I thought I had a buyer, and I was, now looking at it, I was a cab driver. I was showing people houses all over Southern California, only to realize that I never pre-qualified them, never asked them questions, never found out their needs and wants and motivations. Who's buying? When are they buying? Where are they buying? Do you have to sell in order to buy? And later I found out, man, if I would have asked the right questions and I would have taken time to go over a buyer consultation, it would have saved me a lot of time, energy, and anguish. So hopefully after this, we're going to understand that doing a buyer consultation is going to be huge. So don't see this as, oh my God, I'm wasting my time with Samantha for an hour. Wouldn't you rather invest an hour to an hour and a half talking to a potential buyer than 6 months of your time showing them properties? I would. 1 hour. I'll take 1 hour. I'll take 2 hours. Good morning, coming in. We are going over the buyer consultation. Here's this one right here. Thank you, madam.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. So we're going over the buyer consultation and the importance of the consultation itself. Don't see it as, oh my God, I'm going to spend an hour and a half with Veronica. What if she doesn't buy? Well, if you already have that mentality, that's exactly what you're attracting. So I would rather invest, not spend, not waste, invest 2 hours trying to find out if we're a good fit. Like I mentioned, not everybody's going to be a good fit. So make sure that you manifest that it will be a good and a win-win situation for everybody. So one of the first things that I'm going to ask is, has anybody sat you down to explain the home buying process and the benefit of partnering with a buyer agent? They're either going to say no, nobody has, or yes. If Haiti says, you know what, nobody has ever sat me down and explained to me the process, because guess what? Most agents don't. Most agents cut corners and go through the process really quick. And then they wonder why they miss so many things and potential red flags that they could have not ignored. Because red flags, guess what? They're there all along. Afterwards, we look at them and we're like, shoot, they were there. Why was I so blind to see them? You knew he or she wasn't a buyer, but you kept telling yourself that they were because you wanted to look busy. And you wanted to say, hey, I'm working with a buyer. They're not a buyer, they're not pre-approved. So let's say Haiti tells me, you know what? No, nobody has ever sat me down to go through the buyer process. Well, if I can make the buying process easier for you, Haiti, is this something that you would be interested in? She's either going to say yes or no. There's no obligation, there's no pushingness. This is, we're on page 1. Okay, perfect. So if she says, well, I don't know if this is a good time, well, hey, I completely understand. And I know that sometimes buyers like to call listing agent directly. because they think, well, Veronica has the listing. Well, my offer is going to get accepted quicker. Well, Veronica's already working with a listing agent. Her fiduciary duty is with who? The seller. Yeah, she could be a dual agent, but can you truly be neutral when you're representing a seller and a buyer in a messy divorce? I'm sorry to say this. You cannot really be neutral. So I let them know, I completely understand calling sellers listing agent directly. But have you found yourself losing out on offers or even get a chance to write an offer? Typically speaking, the listing agent works for the seller. And by the time you get a hold of that listing agent, there's probably multiple offers on that house. When you have an agent working exclusively for you, that agent has a chance to be more proactive instead of waiting for things to come on the market. We can find properties for you either off market, door knocking and cold calling, or when they're listed. Now the introduction to the buyer consultation is, okay, we're here today to talk about what's happening in the market. Remember, we're there to educate. We're there to educate. We gotta take into account that buyers don't buy houses every day. Like I mentioned earlier, most owners or most individuals, they move every 5 to 7 years. So buying a house is not something that they do every day. And when they do, they're gonna have a reference point of how it was buying a house 10, 15 years ago. So we're here today to talk about what is happening in the market. We're gonna talk about the home buying process and talk about what you're excited to see in your next home. Then we will sign some paperwork to decide if we're gonna work together. I didn't say contract, because when you hear the word contract, what goes through your mind? Attorneys, exclusivity, tied up to something. It's some forms that are gonna give me the opportunity to represent you legally. Just like if you were to retain the services of an attorney, they cannot start working on your behalf and go to court for you without you legally hiring them. So if we feel that we're a good match for each other, we're gonna sign some forms, and then I'll get started. How does that sound?
I have a question.
Sure.
This is from my personal experience.
Please.
I get very nervous anytime somebody wants to sign something, and I usually don't do it.
Is Maria the only one?
No.
We're all humans here.
Every time I hear sign, I'm like, oh no, I wasn't expecting this. Let me look at it and then.
You mean as a buyer?
As
a buyer?
anything.
As a consumer, I mean.
Anything, yeah, like in general, anytime they want me to
That's
sign
normal.
anything, you
And,
know.
and,
I
and,
do too.
and why do you think that happens, Maria?
Because we don't trust the people. From my personal experience, my parents always sign whatever, they're easy targets, and so they have gone through some stuff that I'm like, how did you
That was
guys
my
not
parents
read?
too. They trusted the wrong individuals.
Yes, how did you guys not read? So now I have learned through them not to trust. So I usually take caution when it comes to signing. I'm like, wait, hold on. If I have to sign, even if it's on the phone and they're trying, oh, we're just gonna go inspect your home and do this.
Whoa, yeah, you're
Just
right.
say yes when I'm gonna ask you questions, and just make sure you authorize it by saying yes. I'm like, no.
No.
I don't want to say yes. Hold on.
I'm glad that you mentioned that
Yeah,
because it's
so
true.
I think I'm gonna get the same pushback. You know, like people like me.
But now, and now that we're on the other side of the fence as real estate professionals, we have to manifest that, number one, we bring value. And when you bring value and you're coming from a place of giving, you're not there to sell. I'm here to advise. I'm here to be your resource and let you know how the market is. Has anybody seen that the market has picked up? I know Veronica is showing houses. I know Samantha's working on buyers. Some of us are working on buyers. The market has already shifted. It's picking up. Whenever I'm driving by on the weekends and I see buyers and open houses, I'm seeing multiple families outside of the house waiting to get in. So for those of us that are still feeling that nobody's buying, we got to get out of that mentality, because that's exactly what we're attracting. Buyers are out there, and guess what? They're not concerned one bit about the high rates. When I bought my house 19 years ago, and I'm not saying this to brag, with a 780 FICO score and 20% down, the best rate you could have was a 6.5. and I was jumping for joy. Now, 20 years later, you put 3.5% down, and we're complaining that the rates are sky high. And I'm like, it's actually the same, but you put 17% less down payment than me. But it's perception, so.
Yeah, but there's help right now with programs.
Yeah.
They can buy down the rate, or even the sellers are helping with that. They're helping with a lot of closing costs. And so what I tell my clients is like, just date the rate right now, but you can refinance in the future. And right now I'm helping a client, we have a house in escrow, and I was able to secure $12,000 for closing costs. And they qualify for a program, $10,000 grant, so they're gonna buy down the rate. And they're gonna get into this house, 8 years old.
Wow.
And 4-bedroom, 530, that's the price of the house. And
What city?
with $18,500.
Wow, what city is that?
Winchester.
Winchester. So, as you all can see,
So
we can see we can see the glass half full, the market's crashing, nobody's buying, or we can get to work like Veronica and get buyers. And I actually saw you the other day doing a buyer consultation.
Yes,
So,
they're getting ready. I have another client that he made his
There it is.
pre-approval, but it was not enough money. And then yesterday I met with him and his cousin, so he's gonna co-sign for him. So they're
Always
in the
up-
process
always for
right now.
options.
Yeah, and I had an open house, one open house, and like after so long, and I got a lead, he's already pre-approved, so I'm working with him on that well.
so for those that haven't done an open house, they do work. If we stay at home, we're not gonna generate anything. So we gotta get out of the comfort zone. We gotta get out of that, oh, but what if it's dead? I've heard that they're dead. No, what's dead is our belief that they will be successful. And if you go out there and think that it'll be productive, you're halfway there. So once we're in the buyer consultation, I'm just gonna say, hey, listen, today we're here to talk about what's happening in the market. My goal is to educate you, Veronica, on how the market is, what are the trends, if it's a buyer's market, is it a seller's market? Because that's one of the questions that I personally get asked a lot. Hey, Ulysses, are we in a buyer's market or are we in a seller's market? How would we answer that question?
To me, I'm buyer's market.
Why?
We can get all the help possible, and when you wait until the rates go down, it gets crazy. And I went through it 2020, 2021, that my first time home buyers, they were having a hard time. Because there were like 50 offers and they didn't have any money to put on top of asking price. And it was very competitive. So to me, right now, it's time for the buyers to get all the help possible. And
Are you guys hearing this? Anybody that has a buyer lead, I would be calling them up and say, hey, Heather, listen, I know you wanted to be on the fence and you wanted to wait for the market to crash. Hey, listen, market is starting to peak up. Sellers are paying closing costs. Sellers are paying buy downs. Sellers are doing repairs. Sellers are doing a new roof. They're giving everything in the kitchen sink because they want to sell. But to give you, that was a great answer that Veronica gave us. Now here's the short one. This was the detailed, super badass answer, which,
And I got 3% as a commission.
woo, 3%. Hey, that deserves an applause.
Yeah.
So for those of you that say, oh, we're only getting 2%, we're not seeing 3%. Veronica just got a 3%.
Yeah.
And I know it's not going to be the last one. So manifest and always put on your BRBCs 3%. Remember the class we had? If you put 2% and they're willing to pay 3%, guess what? You just screwed yourself over of 1 point.
Yeah.
And if we're talking a $700,000 house, your limitations and that drunken monkey that told you to put 2%, listening to that voice cost you $7,000. So hopefully I'm making sense. Aim high.
Yeah.
Always aim high because you'll never be at fault for putting 3%. If I'm representing Veronica and I'm like, Veronica, my fee is 3%, but I'm going to negotiate this with the seller. In the event that they pay me 2.5 or 2, I'll work with you and your family. Because my goal is to make sure that I get all of your referrals. Do I want to make 3%? Of course. But am I going to lose a client over 1 point and not get referrals? Hell no.
Yeah.
So what I do is I'm going to put on my fee, Veronica, 3%, and I'm going to negotiate this with the seller. And if they come back with anything, then I'll have another conversation with you and your family, but I'm not gonna let my commission get in the way of getting to in your home.
Yeah.
If I have a conversation like that, she already knows. The most important thing for me is getting you and your family into a home. Of course, we're running a business like a business and we want to get paid, but that's not the focal point. So,
Yeah, and one thing that I would recommend is like, talk to your lender and ask them, what is the amount for closing costs on this house? And go to the highest point, because most of the time, they're gonna counter it. This time, it was a blessing for us. So they accept the offer the way it was. So I was like.
sellers want to sell. So don't be afraid to ask. Ask for your 3% in commission. I always ask for 3% in closing costs. Always, because it'll never be more than 3% in closing costs of the purchase price. So if your buyer says, or when your buyer says, because they will ask, Maria, how much are my closing costs? Just know, 3% of the purchase price. If the purchase price is $600,000, your closing cost will be $18,000. Rarely more than that, unless it's some crazy upfront property taxes or something outrageous. But again, before putting an offer, talk to your lender. But I'm glad that Veronica's sharing her success stories, because they are paying 3% commission, they are paying closing costs, open houses are working, and business is out there. So I am so happy to see that. Now, that smile and that swag, and again, she's doing the buyer consultations, everything that we're talking about, she's practicing what she's preaching. So I'm super happy about that.
Thank you.
And again, we're here to explain what's happening in the market. We're going to talk about the buying process. And we're going to talk about what excites you, Heather, about buying a home. When you think about buying your first home, how does the house look like? Where are you looking at buying? Why is that city important to you? And also, we will potentially sign some paperwork to see if we're going to get a chance to work together. How does that sound? 9 out of 10 times, what do you think the buyer is going to say? No, I don't want to learn about the market. No, I don't want you to tell me how the market is. No, I don't want you to tell me about down payment assistance loans or buy downs or how I can save more of my hard-earned money. Of course they're not going to say that. And if you like what you hear, Lizzie, we're going to sign some forms so that I can start working on your behalf. My team and I are ready to put our resources, our tools, our training, so that we can leverage you and put you in a position to win and get you the best house at the best price with the best terms. How does that sound? What am I selling? I'm not selling anything. Based on their answer, this is where we take the opportunity here to validate or educate. Let's say Veronica is my buyer and she's well educated and well informed and she did her research. She's like, I already know how the market is, Ulysses. I study the market. Great, fantastic. And then I'll say something to the effect of this. You know what, Veronica? Next, I'm going to ask you a series of questions so that I can clearly understand your home purchasing goals and specific needs and desires for your ideal home. Can I ask you those questions now? And literally be taking notes, because that's what I do. You don't want to miss something that's important to the buyer, because then they're going to say, man, we're not even paying attention. So we're going to go to the next page, and again, recap the discussion points, the home buying process, and the value proposition. And here it is. A very simple, detailed, and easy to understand sheet. I want to know, who are the buyers? I always ask, Haiti, besides yourself, who else is buying with you? What would you tell me? My mom and I. Fantastic. Hopefully, we ask that conversation before the actual buyer consultation in person, so that what? Haiti and mom could be what? Present. You want to make sure that all the decision makers are present, because you don't want to have your same conversation 7 times. And sometimes we get so excited because we hear Samantha's going to buy a house. And I didn't ask her, who else is buying with you? Only to realize that her boyfriend Daniel or mom and dad are going to be in the loan. And they're not here. So can she make a decision without them? No. Shame on me. I didn't ask enough questions. Remember, the quality of your answers is going to be determined by what? The quality of our questions. We want better questions. We want better answers. What do we need to do? Ask better questions. Those that are outstanding professionals, especially in the field of sales, they ask unbelievably great questions. And when you ask great questions, you're going to get most of the time great answers. So one of the things that I want to say is, okay, so who else is buying with you? Mom, fantastic. Has anybody ever sat down with you and mom about the process of buying a home? No. Well, hey, listen, this is what I do. I've actually been in the business for 20 years. I hold a real estate broker license, and I've personally helped over 1,800 families just like you get into a home. Now, what have you heard about the process of buying a home, Heather? What can you tell me about the process of buying a home? If you're a buyer, what have you heard?
That's painful.
This is real. This is what they're going to tell you. It's overwhelming. It's painful. It's stressful.
Not a good time.
Is that a good time? Realtors are shady. Realtors charge a lot. They make a lot of money. But they don't know that we also do a lot. But they won't know unless we convey what we do. We shouldn't assume that they know our job description. So I find out who the buyers are. Then I'm going to say, what price range, Heather, are you considering for your home purchase? Why is that important?
Because you need to know like exactly where their spending is gonna be at, because if you say, okay, well, they want $650, okay, so now you have to consider, okay, $650, now you need to consider everything else is gonna go into it, so typically when you're looking for a home at $650, you look for a home that's actually like around $615.
That's a great point. I'm glad you mentioned
You have
that.
that wiggle room in between, because you have all this other stuff that's gotta go into play, that's gotta match that $650 loan.
Do you guys know what she's referring to that? You gotta have a bit of a cushion. If you're pre-approved for $650 and you show your buyer houses in the $650 range,
You're gonna go over.
you're gonna go over, and you can't. And if they really like the house and it's been on the market for, let's say, 20 days or less, most likely there's gonna be some offers on the table, some competition. So if they say, send me your highest and best offer, and you already submitted your highest, you've already eliminated yourself from competition. So have that cushion.
Okay, so to me, it's important to ask, what is your comfortable payment?
You literally read my mind. That was gonna be question number 2 for reals.
Yeah, my clients right now, they were approved for $630, but their comfortable payment is for a house of $530.
Yeah.
And so we found that house, well, I did. And so, but I stayed strong with the price, because when we asked for the $12,000 closing costs, the agent tried to ask for more money, like
A higher
the
purchase price?
12,000 on top of the ask, yeah.
Oh, stack it,
Like,
what they call stack
Yeah,
it.
instead of 530, 542. And so I was like, no, my clients cannot go higher than that. And so she called it.
To see what they can do, concessions.
And she tried to find out if they qualify for more, but because we have a really good communication, he had the same answer for her, the lender, yeah. So we stayed strong on that, and they accepted the offer at 530.
So what Veronica just mentioned is that they wanted to come in at 530, but they wanted to ask for $12,000 in closing costs. The listing agent said, oh, you asking for $12,000? Add them on top of the 530. And Veronica stood her ground like the great buyer agent that she is and said, no, we're not going 12 over. We wanted at 530 and we still want the 12 grand. But because she stood her ground, she knew her approach, and again, confidence. She got the 530 and she got the 12. Instead of overpaying for a house, which was going to give her buyers a higher payment. But yes, my next question was, what kind of a payment are you looking for? Because most realtors don't ask. Just because Heather got approved for $1 million, it doesn't mean she wants to spend that much. We as real estate agents often make the mistake of saying, oh my God, my buyer Heather's approved for 1.3. I'm gonna go look at houses at 1.1. Did you even ask what kind of payment Heather was looking for? Because $1 million home is probably gonna have a payment. With 20%, you're still gonna be looking at about a $6,200 payment with 20% down. So always ask, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, what kind of payment are you looking for? Because if they're looking for a $4,000 payment, are you gonna put them into a $900,000 house? No, the music has to match the lyrics. Yes, Maria?
I want to ask you about something about your buyers. So when they were trying to put the price up, do you let your client know and advise them not to, and they obviously agree, or how do you take it from there?
Oh, like you mean from when they wanted, because they offer 530.
Right.
And the other agent was like, no, if you want 12,000, you gotta bump up your
Bump
offer.
up the price. So then at that point, when they, counter offer, do you let your clients know, this is what they want, they want to
They
put
want us to
the
go
12,000
higher.
on top of the price?
The time she called me, she already called the lender, and because he stayed.
Your buyer.
strong- Yeah, no,
Oh, so the listing agent called the lender.
Called the lender to ask him.
Can
okay,
they go higher?
If they could go higher, but he stays strong and say no.
Ooh,
they're pending
that's a
sensitive.
good one.
So we're gonna stay on 530.
So buyer agent and lender, guess what? They were on the same page. That's the recipe for a successful transaction. When the lender and the buyer's agent are not on the same team, then Samantha, the listing agent, calls Haiti, the lender, and she's like, oh yeah, the buyer can go up to 700. Well, now Veronica's story just unraveled. You see what happens? So always be on the same page before you call the other party. Just say, hey, Maria, I'm gonna call the listing agent, let them know that our max is 530. And if they tell you, hey, can you squeeze another 10 grand? No. And let's see what happens. Let's stay put. And because they did that and they stood their ground, guess what?
So you try to find it internally among you and the lender and not even let the buyer know that there might be an issue, right?
No, I didn't have the time to do it.
Yeah.
Maybe if she said, okay, let me think about it, let me talk to my clients, and I'll get back to you. I might, tell them, but to be honest, there was no need of it. And so I'm glad because
Yeah.
it worked great for them.
If Veronica would have folded under the pressure, it would have cost the buyer at least 12 grand, maybe even more. Maybe the listing agent would have squeezed another 5 and say, hey, while you were thinking about that, I got 3 more offers at 5 grand. Now she might have to say, hey, instead of that 3% that I'm gonna give you for commission, you gotta take 2. Okay, well, I'm desperate. Shoot, I haven't had an escrow in 10 years. Give me 2%. Always stand your ground and know your worth and add tax to it. For those that are going to be watching on our video, but again, ask, what kind of payment are you considering? And also, how did you determine that price? It's important to ask the buyer, hey, how did you come up with that price? Well, I want to stay around 750,000. Wow, that's a great question. So, how did you get to that? What cities are you considering? Besides Corona, is there anything else that you're considering? Give me your top 4 cities. If there's nothing in that price range in Corona, which one would be city number 2? It's important to set the right expectations from day one instead of after 2 months of looking at houses, then you're asking Haiti, hey, is there another city? We should have asked that 2 months ago when we would have that friendly sit down and everybody was all lovey-dovey with each other. Once there's tension, people don't want to go back because they're going to say, man, we could have been looking at houses in East Val and Norco 3 months ago.
That's so true.
I'm just telling you.
I had an experience with my realtor. Now that I think about it, it's like, we never did this.
You see this?
I don't like.
85% of agents never have a sit-down buyer consultation. And then they wonder why their business or buyers ghost them. Well, what kind of value did you give? Well, I just didn't want to waste my time. What if they didn't buy it? Well, that mentality also contributed to you being broke and at zero. So always ask. Also, I put right here, have you had an opportunity to connect with a lender to discuss your options for financing your home? Or will you be using cash? Why is this important? How are we buying the house? Until the lender tells me that Veronica doesn't qualify for the house, I'm going to believe her. Never judge a book by...
Yeah, I always, the first thing that I tell my clients, my buyers, is like, okay, I'm gonna connect you with the lender and see, and we need your pre-approval to start showing property.
Do you show houses without a pre-approval?
No, I don't.
Why not?
Because I'm losing my time and then I'm making them dream about a house that they're not even gonna be able, qualified for it.
Yeah.
So what is the point?
Yeah.
It'd be disappointing.
But here's the thing. You both are right, but I love what she said. It's a waste of time. I don't show houses. And did you see her answer? There was no hesitation. Instead of, well, maybe. There's no maybe.
No.
There's no maybe.
My time is.
No, you see that? When you value your time, people will either appreciate it and want to work with you, or they're gonna fold and say, you're too professional. Yeah, I'm running a business like a business.
Yeah.
I am the CEO of Veronica's real estate empire. Never be afraid to stand your ground. Doesn't mean you have to be rude. But Maria, I totally understand. I know you're excited to look at homes. I would too. I am available this Saturday, but remember, we gotta wait for that approval letter. Well, can we at least look at 2 of them? Here's the thing. If you were selling, Maria, how would you like if I were to bring 3 buyers on your Saturday when it's family time to look at your house, but they're not pre-approved? How would you feel about it?
Wouldn't like it.
Why not?
Cause we don't even know they can buy it, so.
Exactly, Maria. So let's
Taking
do
my
the,
family time.
so let's do the right thing. I know you're excited. I'm excited. I can't wait to not only start showing you houses, but get you into the right home. But let's do the right thing. Did you submit your documentation to the lender? Because
No, but I'll
bring
do
it
it
back
right
to
now.
them. Bring it back to them and say, I know you want to look at houses, but it's been 2 weeks since you told me that you were going to send the documentation. Have we done it? Let's, as a matter of fact, since we're here, let's call the lender right now, see what they need. Yes.
And never show homes without a BRBC sign.
Yeah.
I told my client, like, we need this agreement to be signed before showing you homes because it's Californian law.
You see that? Somebody else would have been like, oh my God, those conversations are so scary. They are, but you guys want to know what would be scarier? Opening an escrow, not having a BRBC signed, realizing that there was a 3% commission on a $700,000 house. For those of you that like to do the math, that's 21 grand. And you don't have a buyer broker agreement signed. You guys know where this conversation is going. You get it into escrow only to realize that the TC just asked you, where's the BRBC? You're scrambling. And you know damn well there was no BRBC signed, baby. So guess what's going to happen? Somebody, hopefully not here, somebody's going to do some charity work and work for free. Actually, no, let me take it back. You're not going to work for free. You're actually going to pay KW the lakes. You're actually going to pay KW the franchise fee. You're probably going to pay the TC. So you're going to be in the negative. You're actually going to write a check because somebody cut corners and didn't do the BRBC. So as you all can see, those that are running a business like a business, that are doing the buyer consultations, that are opening escrows, closing escrows, they're doing the right thing, like Veronica mentioned time and time again. The buyer consultation. How long did your buyer consultation last? Was it like 3 minutes, 5 minutes?
With my clients, a little longer because they have a little baby.
I know.
So
20 minutes, 30 minutes?
I would say like 30 minutes, and I had a Zoom meeting with the lender at the same time. So
Ooh.
he was able to answer any
So the lender was here
on my
on your phone. Beautiful. So again, if the lender cannot be there, do a Zoom, do a phone call, smoke signal, whatever the heck we can, but make sure that you get the lender involved. And only work with a lender that has great communication and let them know, hey, I'm going to be having a buyer consultation. My buyer Heather and her husband are going to be here. First time buyers. I'm going to need you to be available to answer any lending questions. I'm a real estate broker, but is lending my field of expertise? Legally, no. Do I know lending? Yeah. I mean, I've been writing offers for 20 years, but I'm not going to put myself in a situation where they're going to say, you promised me 3.9%, Ulysses. No, I didn't.
I have. I just had a phone call, okay? Then like everything you're saying now, I'm like laughing inside my head, you know, about staying firm and everything else. So we ended up selling our van, you know, and we sold it to Toyota. Toyota gave us a good offer back, and we got a great payment on a new vehicle.
Okay.
And so the lender just called. He said that I guess there was a residual deflect in the contract, so it's actually supposed to be X amount of dollars less. But now my payment is gonna go up $200 more.
And that might change everything.
I'm like, well,
Yes.
that was not what was promised. I already had the vehicle, the lease has already been signed, and I'm already guaranteed what was promised. So we need to figure something out, like, can't budge. Like, that now it's gonna have to be on basically the owner's side, which would be Toyota of the, that place, to figure it out, because why should I, as the vehicle person who purchased, now suffer from that?
You see what happens when you don't explain things? People want to take cut corners and say, we'll deal with that later if it pops up. Guess what? It will.
Yeah.
It will. It never fails. It never fails. And now there's a situation brewing that is stressful, upsetting, and just like with Heather's situation, that could have been a buyer situation. What if Heather was looking to buy a house and nobody explained to her what closing costs are? How much is your payment going to be? A lot of times people might say, hey, Ulysses, you told me that I would get the keys in 30 days. Today is day 30. Well, yeah, Heather, but you know what? You guys went on vacation for 3 weeks and the lender couldn't get a hold of you in the middle of an escrow, so our escrow period got delayed. Well, I have my U-Haul. Who told you to get a U-Haul? Again, be firm and run a business like a business, because if you're not running a business, the business is running you. We set the tempo for our clients. One of the things that I love about what Veronica's been sharing all day today is, I'm firm. I'm not going to waste my time. I can't wait to show you houses, but I'm not showing you one stinking house without, first and foremost, a BRBC and an approval letter. I am not going. I don't care if you're my mother. I don't care if you're the president. I'm not showing you houses. That's knowing her value. And she said, I'm not wasting my time. I'm not wasting my
I
time.
have a question though.
Yes.
I wasn't aware that an agent is allowed to contact the buyer's loan officer.
Here's the thing. It's well, a lot of times they want to make sure that your buyer actually qualifies, because, again, an approval letter on Word format could be done by a 12-year-old kid.
Okay, so we're allowed to contact them and ask it to verify that this individual is approved for.
Absolutely, I would encourage it.
Okay,
Because-
but are they allowed to actually ask these questions, like, can you approve it for more?
Well, no. Well, they here's the thing. They're going to want to get away with whatever they can get away with. Just like our children. They want to test you and see if you budge. Or if you're going to say, no, it's not happening. Our max is $750. Well, can you squeeze 10? Well, why don't I squeeze them from you? Why don't you pay the other 10? Our max is $750. If we can make the deal, hey, I'll tell Veronica so that she can show them houses somewhere else. If that property's been on the market for 30 days, do you think I'm going to be stupid enough to let Veronica walk away? No, of course not. But they're going to want to get away with whatever they can. So stand your ground. Again, know your worth. Know how to write offers. Be skilled at presentation. And you're going to win. You're going to win 9 out of 10 times. Success leaves clues. You guys have heard that time and time again. Veronica didn't stumble on an escrow. She didn't stumble on a buyer without doing an open house. She didn't stumble on a successful buyer consultation without doing it. She's doing the activities. Buyer consultation, open houses to get the lead, the follow-up, the nurturing, the phone calls.
The follow-up is very important. Sometimes they disappear for a while.
So they do that to you too, or just me?
No, they did it because we've been looking for homes since March.
There it is, we're in August. Look at the follow-up.
Yeah, and then we sent an offer for a house, but it wasn't accepted, and I told them there's something better for you coming. But it's not the right time right now. It wasn't the right house for you, and now they told me, like, we're so glad they didn't accept the offer, because the house now is way better than
The one that they would have settled with. You see that? So everything is about timing.
Yeah.
I've been asking myself, how come I didn't join KW the Lakes 2 years ago? It wasn't my time.
Exactly.
The man above has everything already figured out, and if you trust the process and you trust the man above, you'll never lose. So
Yeah. Oh, one thing that is very important is always talk to the listing agent.
call the listing agent.
Yeah.
Share it, please.
So they saw this house back in April, and it was at 559,
Okay.
and they couldn't send an offer because it was too much for them. It was
As far as the price.
out of budget, yes.
Okay.
And so they took the house out of the market, and when they saw the house coming back, they called me and they said, okay, I think there's a signal right here. I think it's time for us because the house now is 530, so it was 29,000
Timing is everything.
cheaper. So it was the perfect time. It was the perfect time.
Wow.
So
It's important that we let them know. What are the parts of town that you're considering? Because is Corona all the same? Just like Eastville, just like Norco, just like Highland, Redlands, South Redlands, North Redlands, Fontana. Fontana, the city where I live in, has 3 zip codes. You got South Fontana, you got Central. I live in the north part of Fontana. It's such a big city. So it's important to ask, what part of town are you considering? Why is that important to you? Why would that be important? Close to proximity to schools, jobs, freeways, shopping centers. If you could pick a date, Haiti, to move in, when would that be? Why is that important? What's your time frame? Right there, guess what? You're gonna find out the motivation. If they say, it doesn't really matter. I could move in now. I can move in December of next year. How would you grade her motivation? Like none, 0. But if she were to say, hey, I want to be in my home before Thanksgiving, damn, we got to get to work. We got to get you pre-approved ASAP. I'm going to do a group text. We're going to call our lender. I need you to submit your documentation by tomorrow, the latest. Because you set the tempo. If you let the buyer agent take their time, this is what happens when we give people too many options. We confuse them. And sometimes we're like, Veronica, don't worry. Hey, here's the list of documents. Whenever you have time, send them to the lender. What did I just tell Veronica? It's not important. Do it when you get to it, if you get to it. And then 1 week passes by, 2 weeks turns into 4 weeks. And now, what is her motivation as far as getting pre-approved? They already dwindled. So you got to strike while the iron is hot. What part of town are you considering? If you could pick a date to move in, where would it be? And then I would ask the following question. Is this date flexible? Because what if Veronica has to relocate to Arizona and they're waiting for her October the 1st to start. And she needs to sell ASAP. What's her time frame? If I ask her, Veronica, I know that they're waiting for you October the 1st in Phoenix, is this correct? What would happen if we don't meet that deadline? What if she tells me I lose that job and that's a $200,000 salary? Oh, shoot. Okay, so we got to get to work. We probably have to start marketing your property ASAP so that I can relocate you to Arizona, Veronica. Are you okay with that? Who's setting the tempo? Yeah. Based on the what? The questions that I'm asking. And then I'm going to ask, are you currently living in the area? No, I'm living in Corona, but I want to relocate to Arizona. Okay, how long have you lived in Corona? Since you already own a home, the first one I wouldn't ask, will this be your first home purchase? No, I'm selling and buying. How many people will be living there? Why is that important? You want to know. Like for example, with my case, I needed a bedroom downstairs and a bathroom downstairs for my dad. He's 75. That was a deal breaker for me. If there was no bedroom and a bathroom downstairs, no can do. Mm-hmm. So always ask, who's going to be living with us? Well, my elderly parents. Okay, if I may ask, how old are they? Oh, they're 75. Fantastic. What's their routine like? What do they like to do? Who else might be influencing your home purchase? That's a very, very important question. Heather, besides yourself and your husband, is there anybody else influencing your decision making as to pulling the trigger if I find you the right house? Why is that important? Because what if she says, my mother-in-law is giving us a down payment and closing costs, and she wants to be at every showing. Guess who I need to involve in the group text / Zoom conversations if that were to be the case? Because if the mother-in-law says, I don't like the house, I'm the one fronting the money, guess what Heather and her husband need to do? Get her involved. And as the professional, guess what I need to do? Make mom feel warm and fuzzy. We need to shake hands and kiss the babies. Because if not, mom is not going to pull the trigger. And she will be influencing their decision. I would put right here, what kind of location are you looking for? Cul-de-sac, corner lot, no back neighbors? Why is that important? You want to know. If they want privacy and you're right behind you, there's a 20-unit apartment building, do you think that's going to be privacy? Heck no. You want to know. Because then they're going to say, you should have known. Well, I didn't know. I don't live here. Veronica, you should have known that there was an apartment building right behind it. We have 4 kids. Which of the following spaces must you have in your next home? What's the minimum bedrooms and bathrooms, Lizzie, that you need in your next home? Why is that important? She could want a 7-bedroom house, but Lizzie, do you really need a 7-bedroom house, or can we work with a 4-2? You want to know. Garage spaces. Do you want something attached, detached? Very important. How many bathrooms? How many garage spaces? What's the square footage of the house? A typical 3-bedroom, 2-bath, it's about 1,300 to 1,500, roughly. So for a starter family of 4, 1,300 to 1,500, it's more than doable. We'll sell and buy. And just like us, there's thousands of people that need to move because they outgrew the house. And it's our responsibility to find them. That's 2 deals. Sell and buy, contingent sales. They're not as hard as they sound. I've been doing those for 20 years. What size of a lot do you need? Why is that important? Well, what if they want to potentially add an ADU? Well, there's no backyard. If Veronica specifically said, I need a backyard so that I can potentially accommodate an ADU, and I get her a backyard that's a lot size of 3,000, it's not going to work for her. What is your favorite room in the house, Heather? She could say, you know what, I love entertaining, I love the kitchen. I need an open floor plan, I need an island. Okay, great. I'm gonna notate that. So when I'm on the MLS searching for homes, guess what those houses need to have? Exactly what Heather's looking for. Then I'm gonna ask her husband. What's your husband's name? Jaime, what is important to you? Bro, I need 3-car garage, preferably attached. Find out what's important to both of them, not just one. Address them both. Ladies, always address the spouse, and men always address the husband first. Because early on in my career, I lost business addressing the wife, and the husband felt threatened, and vice versa. I'm just telling you, people think differently. But I always ask, if I found you the perfect home, Veronica, and it met your wants and needs, and it was in the area that you're looking for, the payment that you guys are looking for, is there something that would prevent you from buying this house? Why do I want to know? Motivation. Because if I find her the right home at the right price, and we're able to ask for closing costs, negotiate my fee, get you, that backyard with a potential ADU space, and everything in the kitchen sink, and Veronica still says, I want to wait till next year. Should I sacrifice my next 8 Saturdays with her?
No.
If you were me saying that, and I were to tell you, don't worry about it. I mean, if we find something, the Lord will send me a house. Well, the Lord sent me to you so I can help you get a house. It's like when you get on your knees and pray, it's great, but you got to get up and do the work. So, what? We got to come to the realization that we don't have a buyer. We have a lead that may or may not buy. Let's go and get the real ones. Another thing that I would ask is,
But continue following them, because at some point they're gonna buy.
yeah, don't neglect them, but
Yeah.
don't
Don't just
prioritize them
forget
as your
about
first
them.
bucket.
Yeah.
And just let them know. And I always say this at the beginning. 3 things are going to happen, Haiti, today. Number 1, you're going to love how I presented you. You're going to love how I explained to you the process of buying a home, how the market is, what is an escrow, what are contingencies, what are closing costs. I'm going to go through everything. And you're going to love the energy that I brought, and you're going to want me to be your real estate agent. Number 2, you're not going to like my vibe. You're going to think I'm pushy. You're going to think I'm bold. And you're not going to want to work with me. Or number 3, I may feel that we're not the right fit for each other. And either way, I'm okay. I want to work with people that value my price, my fee. And here's the thing. Remember, price is what you pay, value is what you get. It was a $1,200 phone, but what was the value to me? Much more than that. Because if I can't get a hold of a client that wants to put an offer on an $800,000 house, that's gonna make me 3% commission, that's $21,000. Price is what you pay, value is what you get. Remember that. And always ask, if I find you the right house, at the right price and the right terms, would you buy it for me? I want to work with people that want to work with me. So, Haiti, we went over the market. I went over what I do when I represent first-time buyer families like you. I mentioned that my fee, which is 3%, I'm going to negotiate it with the seller when we write offers on houses that you actually want to see yourself in. How do you feel about moving forward and putting my team and I to work? Let's do this. Perfect. So I'm just going to need you to just acknowledge these forms. Look at the verbiage. Acknowledge instead of what? Sign. Whenever you hear the word sign, you're like, oh, heck no. I just need you to acknowledge these forms, giving me authorization to legally represent you on the purchase of your next home. So are you ready to do this? And hopefully the client is like, yeah, okay, Haiti, on a scale of 1 to 10, how motivated are you to become a homeowner? Are you a -4 or are you a +12? And I always say that. And they laugh. They're like, oh my God, that's funny. I'm a +13. Great. Well then, let's acknowledge these. Put me to work. Did that come true today?
Yeah.
See, the proof is in the pudding. So, Haiti, let's get this done. By the way, what days are you available to look at properties? Why is that important? You want to know. If you're motivated, Maria, I want to make sure that I prioritize you and your family. I got Saturday from 9 to 11 or 9 to 12 and Sunday from this to this. Remember, you make the schedule. But if it's not on the schedule, guess what's going to happen? It never does. It never does. Block your schedule. And if you put something on the schedule, don't delete it. Don't delete it, because that just tells you and the person that you were going to meet that guess what? It wasn't important. Buyer consultations are extremely important so that you can get to know the motivation of the client. You get to know what they're looking for, how realistic they are, because you want to know.
Yeah.
If you're looking for a $2,000 home or a $2,000 payment on an $800,000 home, and you want down payment assistance, and you have a FICO score of 400, no offense to anyone, and you've been at the job for 2 months, what are we doing, people? If I'm going to be showing houses on Saturday or Sunday, you better believe that client is going to be pre-approved. And there's what signed?
BRBC.
Okay. Now, I'm gonna quiz some of you to see if you guys paid attention. So Heather's like, oh shoot, I need to put my phone away. Here we go. So, why is the BRBC important?
Exclusive representation.
What was that, Samantha?
Exclusive representation.
And I've heard a lot of good stuff over here too. Exclusive representation. Tell me more.
They won't cheat on you. Pretty much.
Oh, I like that. It's okay to be bold, babe. Now, can they? Sure, but at least they'll ensure you that you'll get a piece of that commission. If they cheat on you and there's no documentation, you were dating them, but so was somebody else.
For reference, I'm going through a lawsuit right now because the client didn't read the BRBC and they cheated on me and they went with somebody else, but I'm still getting that commission. So
Now,
have a BRBC.
when the client signed that BRBC, did we explain the what not to do? Hey, Heather, don't cheat on me. Hey, Samantha, I'm your exclusive real estate agent. Because they might feel, oh, well, I signed with Haiti. Well, I guess I could sign with Heather and Veronica and Samantha too. It's okay. They don't know any better. Sometimes they do, but again, if you let them know, hey, this is exclusive. You don't need 20 attorneys to go to court. You just need me. Maria said, so you could get paid. Only to realize that BRBC was never signed, wasn't even printed, wasn't even a part of the buyer consultation. Like Maria said, I'm not going to get paid, and as a matter of fact, I'm going to have to bring some money to the table, just so that we can make this thing work. Because what are you gonna tell the client? Hey, listen, I'm gonna have to cancel on your escrow because I failed to do the right thing and present you with a buyer broker agreement, which I should have done, but I didn't because I didn't come to trainings. And now I'm not gonna get paid, so I have to sabotage your transaction because I don't wanna come up with $4,000 that I'm gonna be short because I haven't sold the house. Now the client can turn around and sue you. Now it's gonna be even more expensive. So again, always do the right thing. Was the class helpful?
Yes.
Yeah, of course. There's always something that you're gonna learn every single time.
There-
I like, when you're sitting down with a buyer and you say, I'm gonna negotiate my fee with the seller, cause it kinda, well, if I was a buyer and if my agent told me that, it would just kinda tell me that they're gonna step on the gas a little bit harder, because you're like fighting for your fee. And
Absolutely.
you're not gonna get paid till like months later from the initial meeting.
Sometimes they feel that we get paid per hour or there's a salary underneath. Well, you know what, Heather? As a buyer agent, my fees for you are free. That's what I would hear buyer agents tell buyers, and I'm like, our fees are not free. Just because the buyer's not paying them, it doesn't mean they're free. Somebody else picked up the tab. But if I tell Heather, my services for you, when I represent a buyer, they're free. What kind of value does she see in me? Zero. None whatsoever. If I tell you, Haiti, this is free. But if I tell you this is $500,
Serious now.
you see? So never tell a buyer, my services for you, Maria, they're free. Every time I represent a buyer, so if you refer me somebody that wants to buy, my services for them will always be free. No, my fee is 3%. However, when I represent a buyer family like yourself, Maria, I'm gonna make sure that the sellers pick up the tab. And only you gotta worry about is your down payment and any closing cost margin that may not be paid through the offer. But when we get to writing offers, Maria, I'm gonna make sure that we ask for 3% so that you only gotta worry about your down payment. Unless what? Unless they're a VA or they're using DPA. What is DPA? Down payment assistance. So we gotta learn those terminologies, DPA. Don't be afraid, you can do the buyer consultation via Zoom. You can do this over the phone. I like to do them in person if possible, so that they can see me, they can feel my energy. If somebody wants to buy now versus waiting 3 more years, if they're renting at $3,000, guess what? We did the math, Samantha, how much was it? It was like,
You went from like $550 to $620.
yeah,
like
so
3 years.
every year, houses go up at least 5%. So when somebody says, no, I'm gonna wait next year. Okay, Maria, well, just so that you know, that the house that you're looking at right now that's $550, next year it'll probably be about $590. And the rent that you're paying now of $3,300, next year it'll probably be about $35. So if you wait 3 more years, you're gonna be paying about $200,000 in rent and another $150,000 in increased value. So we did the math and it was about $275,000 if somebody wanted to wait 3 years. So if there's no more takeaways, I want to thank all of you for joining. Hopefully today was helpful. The goal is to book appointments. Remember, we are real estate matchmakers. If we're not having conversations with potential buyers and potential sellers, and we're not booking appointments, ask yourself, what am I doing? I leave you all with that.